Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM, The Fan, here on Curd and Long with our guy Ryan Horvat of BetMGM tonight. Check him out on the BetQL radio network across the country weeknights. While you're watching your favorite games, turn on Ryan Horvat, Trista Crick, and Nick Ashu, and find out what they got to say on the games going on at night. You can hear what bets maybe they got on the games, what bets they like for the remainder of the games that are going on later that night on the West Coast or whatever the case may be. Entertaining show. Make sure to check it out. Again, weeknights on the BetQL radio network. And of course, Curd and Long podcast. You can download this on your Odyssey app, of course, and wherever you download your favorite podcast, or check it out as we stream each one of these live on the Odyssey Sports YouTube channel. You can always go back and watch it later. Okay, Ryan Horvat, some gambling to get into a little bit later in the show because you are the gambling guy. Some over-under bets, some quarterback rushing numbers to be gambled and bet upon, as well as training camps are underway for some teams like the New York Jets. So we're now getting into NFL season. Ryan smiles a lot more, becomes in a better mood on a more consistent basis.
Yeah.
Once college football kicks off, then he becomes really, really giddy and happy. His wife doesn't see him for 6 months, and then he comes out on the other side. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I married you. I forgot about it. What you look like." Yeah. See, he's all fired up. Okay, I want to first start off with this Jordan Love thing going on right now. So Armed and Dangerous Quarterbacks, or whatever the case may be, it's run by this guy named Steve Calhoun. And Steve Calhoun has been like Jordan Love's little quarterback tutor, whatever, I think since going back all the way to his high school days, maybe, up through college out in California, and has worked with him since he's become into the National Football League. And he tweets out videos from time to time. And they just tweeted out another video. It's Jordan Love and a bunch of different Packer players. And we knew they were all working out in California together. We had talked about it. Previously, Christian Watson is out there. Aaron Jones is out there, and a bunch of different wide receivers, including a rookie or two wide receivers are out there too. My question is, what do you take away from Jordan Love and these Packer teammates kind of working out together? This is something we have never seen with Brett. We really haven't seen it with Aaron Rodgers. We saw with Rodgers when he was behind Brett, or him and James Jones, and who is the other tall wide receiver? Oh, I can't think of his name.
Javon Walker?
No. He was.
You're talking about Rodgers?
Yeah. Early on in Rodgers' career, like when he was a first-year player, second-year player, it was him, James Jones, and another dude. I can see him, and I can't think of his name. If Mike Clemens was here, he would tell me.
I don't know.
It was a role guy. Like, it's not anybody that had a big career in Green Bay. But anyways, so those guys would work out early in his career out in California together because none of them were really playing with the Brett Favre and the veteran wide receiver, so they would work out on their own. But since Rodgers became the starter and all that, then that all kind of disappeared and went away. So really, this is the first time. Now, this is the second time, I believe, they worked out before OTAs, and now they're working out before training camp together out in California. And they just tweeted out a video and some pictures. I think they were out there for 2 weeks, maybe, or a week, something like that, out in California working out together. All the different Packer players with Jordan Love. What do you take away from all this, Ryan?
Yeah, I love to see it. You know, they're building chemistry. You like to see the young guys. I mean, it is one of the younger, if not the youngest, wide receiver rooms in the National Football League. And this is Jordan Love's first full year as a starter. So you love to see him getting on the same page, you know, learning the tendencies of a Christian Watson. Now, again, like, you're going to need live game reps. You're going to need training camp. You're going to need some preseason reps. You're going to need the first couple of weeks of the season, probably to figure some things out offensively, but you do love to see them building some chemistry. Jordan Love, Christian Watson, the young guys. But what you really love to see is Aaron Jones, who's really now with Aaron Rodgers gone, Mercedes Lewis gone, Randall Cobb gone, you know, even on the defensive side of the ball, Adrian Amos, a lot of the vets are gone. This is a really young team. You love to see Aaron Jones there with the young guys as well.
He's being the leader on offense.
Yeah, and that's what you love to see because the Packers have, lacked some leadership, it looks like, the last couple of years, to be honest. So you love to see it. You really do.
You know, and you talk about the leadership, and I don't know how you're going to take this because you love Rodgers. So I don't know where you're going to go with this, but I'm just going to say this. Yeah. I don't know if it's on purpose, like they all decided this, or if individually they're just doing it themselves, but there's a lot of, I'm going to run through the wall for Jordan Love. I'm sick of being disrespected, like Kenny Clark, you know, talk to Zach Gelb, who we had on recently on Curtin Long. You want to go back and listen to that podcast from CBS Sports Radio. Kenny Clark was on his show talking about this is really the first time they've been disrespected, because apparently everybody thinks they need Aaron Rodgers to win games, and now nobody thinks they can win games without Aaron Rodgers. And they're kind of using that maybe as a little bit of motivation, a little fire of, fine, screw y'all. Y'all don't think we can win without Aaron? We'll show you. And I think that's good for this team. But the whole rah-rah Jordan Love stuff, I don't know if that's planned or if they're actually kind of really believing and buying into what they're saying.
I mean, I think that Rodgers was a leader. I mean, even with, like, you heard it from Nixon, from a couple different guys, obviously. You know, I mean, him and Christian Watson were on the same page the last 8 weeks of the season, and Watson was one of the better receivers in the NFC, even as a rookie. But I think he just led a different way, whereas, you know, I don't think this is the guy saying, hey, you know, we didn't like Aaron. I think it's just that Jordan's been there for years. It's finally his turn, and he's been the perfect teammate. You know, Jordan Love, like, he was a first-round pick, man. They moved up in the first round to draft him. He didn't ask to be drafted by the Green Bay Packers. He could have been drafted by the Patriots, and he could be Mac Jones. He could have been drafted by the Texans instead of C.J. Stroud this year.
Some people thought he was going to go higher than where he went.
He's waited, and guys don't want to wait anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that Caleb Williams would sit for 4 years? Hell no. You think Drake May will sit for 4 years? Hell no. You think Mahomes would have waited another 3 years behind Alex Smith? No. Jordan Love was the perfect teammate. These guys have seen him at practice, so I understand them wanting to run through a wall for him. And also, he's being disrespected, you know, by certain people. They think by the national.
Can you think of another quarterback that's had this much rah-rah from his teammates going into a season? I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I can't remember another guy that really had never started, was unproven, that had so many guys publicly like rallying around him and talking to the media and talking him up, and like Jair Alexander, like popping up behind him during OTAs and say, this is my QB1, this is our guy, whatever. That type of stuff. I can't think of another quarterback. Like even Mahomes, when he replaced Alex Smith, I don't remember this type of rah-rah stuff around Mahomes from his teammates going into that first year with him as starter. Like this seems over the top to me.
Yeah, it worries me a little bit. Like either they think Jordan Love is that dude, or they think that he lacks confidence and they're trying to build it or something.
Could be. I mean? Right. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, could be.
Maybe they want him to think that he's that guy. I don't know, man. Like it's the biggest question mark. You do love to see him working out with his teammates. It shows that he's kind of taken on a leadership role. You love to see Aaron Jones there. He is the leader. He's the vet in that locker room. He wants to win. That's the other thing. Like this is a young team, man, but Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, there are still some older guys on that team that want to win. On the defensive side of the ball, Jair Alexander, you know, he's not old, but he's a vet now. So these guys aren't showing up to win 5-6 games. The NFC's weak. The NFC North is very weak. I mean, we're looking at a Detroit Lions team that's minus 160 right now to win that division. I don't know if I'm buying into the hype yet. So I love to see it. I can't wait to see if Jordan Love's any good, man. It's going to be a fun season, but we have no clue. But you do love to see that guys show up and they want to work out with them.
It's funny. You see people responding to these tweets.
Yeah.
And I went through, and I don't go and click on a tweet and see what 16 or 17 people are saying, but it's a lot of, you know, I miss Aaron Rodgers, but we haven't had this type of quote team necessarily in Green Bay for quite some time, of guys hanging out and doing stuff together and that type of stuff. And people kind of are refreshed by it. Again, they may suck, but as of right now, I think there's some momentum, some curiosity, some excitement to see what this thing actually looks like.
Well, really quick on that, like the other thing is like Rodgers is old now, man. Like he's my age. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like Brett those final couple of years. It's like Rodgers was close with Jordy Nelson and with Clay Matthews and all the guys that are either retired or elsewhere. Like most of those guys are out of the league. It's hard for Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady to relate to these 23, 24-year-old kids on TikTok. You got Jair wearing that big-ass hat. Yep. I mean, I know he's kind of buying into New York, you know, and he's going through his little midlife crisis there. And he got the haircut. He's got the leather jacket going. But Jordan Love, like, these guys are all the same age. So, yeah, they're buying into Jordan Love because that's their boy. That's their teammate. They're the same age. They were probably ready. They're like, Rodgers, this guy is weird. He's old. He has us watching 9/11 documentaries. We don't want to do that. We want to party on a boat and work out in California and run routes. Like, you know what I mean? We don't want to eat mushrooms and go eat clay and sit in a cave for 3.5 weeks. So I get it, dude.
On the Big Show, I would refer to Rodgers as the chameleon. because he changes who he is based on who he's with. Like Jordan Love with Danica Patrick was not this. Jordan or Aaron Rodgers with Olivia Munn was not this, right? Then who is this weird chick that he ended up apparently being with? That's like Planet Earth or something, whatever her name is. You know who I'm talking about? Blue Sky, Blue Star, whatever her name was. Then we see and then we see this weird version of Aaron Rodgers, whatever this is, and being in touch with his inner feelings, yada yada yada. Okay, fine. Well, now he leaves small town Green Bay. And now he's big city New York. And you said it yourself. Well, now he's got a haircut. Now he's got to start to dress a little bit different. And he is going to become big city New York guy and fit into that crowd and be that chameleon. Like, I seriously wonder if that dude knows who he really is. Like, I know he says, I go sit in the dark and get in touch with my true feelings. But if you look at his deal, like, he changes based on the situation that he's in. Like, everything changes. Everything along the way. It's very bizarre. And I'm sure there are other people that are the same way, but like Brett Favre was consistently Brett Favre the whole way through. Brett Favre was that same Brett Favre in New York, the same Brett Favre in Minnesota that rambled at press conferences, was still wearing the same type of clothes. That dude did not change, right? Never changed. Rodgers, he changes as the wind blows depending on who he's with. Like I said, it's very weird. Okay, let's go on a second topic. Will running back salaries ever increase to what is deemed fair value by the running backs themselves, by them? Des Bryant tweeted this out. Can someone please explain this? And it's a picture of Saquon Barkley and a picture of Justin Tucker, the kicker of the Ravens. Average salary for an NFL running back in 2023, $1.81 million. Average salary for an NFL kicker in 2023, $2.26 million. Kickers are making, on average, more by about almost $500,000 per year than an NFL damn running back is at this point. Now, in fairness, there are less kickers than there are running backs. So there's not as many salaries to average out. Because when you say running back, that means the third running back salary is factored into this, right? So this isn't the average salary of the number one running backs in the NFL against the kickers. There aren't three kickers on every roster. There's one field goal kicker on every roster. So that's kind of what makes this a little bit slanted and unfair when you put these numbers up. But it does get everybody's attention, which is what Des wanted. And it's obviously, it sticks out. I saw Acho, the guy that does Fox Sports.
Oh, gosh.
He put out a video while he was getting ready to go do his show. And I like this dude. Like, a lot of what he says, I can get down with. But this whole thing about running backs don't matter. And when they make a difference in a Super Bowl, then people will care. And going through, and again, he had facts, right? He had Super Bowl winners, who the running backs were, how much of a difference they were, where they were in the league in rushing, yada, yada, yada. And the whole thing. And he says, until they make a difference in a Super Bowl, nobody cares about paying an NFL running back at this point. It just does not matter at all in the National Football League. Ryan Horvat, how does this change? Will it change?
So, well, first things first, really quick, it's tough to put a picture of Justin Tucker and compare him to any other kicker because Justin Tucker,
he's the best.
Sink a field goal. I'm in Bethesda, Maryland right now. He could sink one to Baltimore, right? Like he's a weapon. So that's why he's making that kind of money.
Right. No, but this is average salary for an NFL kicker, not his salary.
It's just of all kickers. Like you could have threw somebody else out there. So here's the thing. Like, no, man. And college football, I've been talking about this on the show. College football is so much different. Like we're doing all of our conference previews. And it's tough to replace a guy like Bijan Robinson at Texas. Or a better example, it's tough to replace a running back like Deuce Vaughn at Kansas State because, dude, he was like 70% of that offense. But in the NFL, it's kind of plug and play, especially if you have a good offensive line. Nick Chubb's awesome, but the Cleveland Browns have the best offensive line in all of football. So if they stick somebody else back there, a rookie in the second or third round, he'll probably rush for 1,200 yards behind a really good offensive line. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
sure.
It's just changing. Now, the other thing is, though, like, look at the Detroit Lions. A lot of running backs, I think that I understand where running backs are coming from because their shelf life is like 26, 27 years old. It used to be like 28, 29 years old. Like, remember Barry Sanders retired and we're like, man, he's way too young.
Robert Smith retired early.
Smith retired, yeah, and we're like, man, he's way too young. But really, they were smart because they knew, hey, I've lost a step. I've lost that explosiveness, and I don't want to be a shell of myself. Now these guys, like, look at James Robinson with the Jags. He was an undrafted rookie, broke the rushing record for an undrafted rookie.
Yep.
Now he's out of the league. Like, the Patriots picked him up, released him a couple weeks later. He doesn't even have a team right now. It's just like, man, they only got a couple good years, so I understand them wanting to get paid, and I want them to get paid because
the
I'm on
average
my
shelf life of a running back, I think, is 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like every Sunday, I'm on my couch watching these guys take brutal hits, 20 to 25 carries. Everybody's not Derrick Henry, who's going to be 29 years old and has led the league in rushing attempts 3 of the last 4 years, man.
Check out Derrick Henry when he's 50 and tell me how he's doing.
So I understand why these guys want to get paid. You want to set up your kids because you're taking a beating, right? Like, you're playing football for our pleasure. I think they deserve the money, especially when you see what quarterbacks and wide receivers and kickers are making.
Right.
But I also understand why teams don't want to give these guys the money, because look at Todd Gurley. The Rams go to a Super Bowl. They pay him all that money. The next year, he has arthritis. The next year, he's in Atlanta. Now he's out of the league. He's not even 28 years old, 29 years old yet, man. He's not coming back. So I don't think it ever changes. I do think that these guys deserve more money. Like, let's be honest, man. There's so much freaking money in this league, Sparky. I don't know what you got to do here. Raise the salary cap, raise what you pay running backs. I don't know. Set these guys up. Like, because, CTE is a real thing. These brain injuries are a real thing. Not even if, like, it's nothing serious like that, man. Like, look at, like, somebody like Gary who's had to replace his hip. Guys that blow out their knee that could barely move. They can't even walk their daughters down the aisle for their wedding. So I understand these guys wanting to make money, but I also understand teams. Like, let's go back really quickly. This has always been a thing, though. This is nothing new, man, because even in the 90s, Emmitt Smith was the best running back in the league. 2 straight years, he led the league in rushing yards. The Cowboys won the Super Bowl, but yet Jerry Jones paid Troy Aikman all that money, Michael Irvin all that money, Deion Sanders all that money, didn't want to pay Emmitt Smith. So Emmitt Smith held out the first 2 games of the season. They started 0-2. Jerry freaked out, paid him. And even then, he had like 3 years. The deal was like 3 years, $12 million only. So I think they deserve more. I just don't think they ever get it, because I would rather pay a left tackle my wide receiver. And dude, even wide receivers, nobody wants to pay wide receivers the high price tag anymore. That's why the Packers traded away Devontae Adams. That's actually a bad example. They offered him more money than the Raiders. But that's why the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, who's a top 3 receiver in the league. That's why A.J. Brown got moved from Tennessee. So the thing is, like, quarterbacks are making so much money. You have to pay tackles. You have to pay pass rushers now. That's so important. I don't think it changes. We'll see.
I have a couple of things on that.
Yeah.
I think it's very smart, what you brought up. And I don't know. In the NBA, the superstars run the Players Association. Make no bones. The majority of the league has no say in what they actually do, right? You have the guys at the top, LeBron and everything else, watching out for them, and the rest of the league and the Players Association gets screwed. And that sucks. In the National Football League, I don't feel like it's that way necessarily. A guy like J.C. Treader was not a superstar, right? He's an offensive lineman, a center, whatever, kind of that guy. I wonder if they would consider something. If the owners came to them and said, look, this is what we want to do. We want to go kind of to the NBA way of doing things. We want to put in a system where there is max money. Okay? So if you're in the league for so long, you do these things, that's your max. You can't go above this, can't go any higher, but that's a max. In return, right, we also want to put in veteran minimum money per position. So that means instead of just saying veteran minimum, everybody in the league has the same thing. The running back veteran minimum money will be different than, say, the quarterback veteran minimum, or the wide receiver, or the offensive line, left tackle, or right tackle, or whatever else. Change the veteran minimums to be position specific. And then you tell the running backs, we understand. You're getting screwed. You're not getting that. But what we will do for you is we'll raise that veteran minimum up a little bit on the back end, right, to get you more money. And then obviously there'll be the max money that goes along with it. I don't know if you change max dollars to position specific. I don't think you do that. I still think you make it just overall general, whatever the number is, unless you want to go position specific and say, okay, if you're an all-pro for 5 years, this is the most you can get. If you're a 2-time Pro Bowl or whatever else, and you lay out these benchmarks of, okay, that's the most they can get. now there's not necessarily the negotiating anymore with the top quarterbacks or whoever and seeing how much money they can get. So from them being able to essentially save money, they're able to put more money back into the back end and pay some of these other positions that aren't as valued.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying, actually. I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I think that that's the way that you make this all work, right? And I think that that's fair. Now, do you think that they accept that and they would or no? Because, I mean, like you see it this week, Austin Eckler's came out. He wants to talk to the league and figure out.
Did you hear him? He was on Zach Gelb's show, too, this week on CBS Sports Radio. I listened to that. And I was like, he's screwed. I mean, he's screwed. And he knows he's screwed. And there's not a damn thing he can do about it at the end of the day. And then, this is the other thing I want to know. How is this going to translate to college football, Horvat? Right? You're the college football guy. You brought up Deuce Vaughn earlier. Do these guys still want to play running back? They're looking at the National Football League. Are these guys still going to go, yep, I want to be a running back? Or are they all going to be like, to hell with it, I'm going to play wide receiver? Or I'm going to bulk up and play tight end?
That's the other thing. Like growing up, everybody wanted to play either quarterback or running back, especially where I'm from, because we ran the double wing offense. Now, man, I would want to play receiver. I'd want to play quarterback. Hell, I'd want to play tight end. I'd want to be an edge rusher because that's where all the money's at, right? But also, like, that's why everything's changing. Like, remember A.J. Dillon? Nobody knew that he could catch balls out of the backfield just because that wasn't the offense at Boston College. Now all these running backs want to catch passes. Like, that's why Jonathan Taylor that last year at Wisconsin wanted to catch more balls out of the backfield. And that's why I understand why the Lions like Jahmyr Gibbs so much, man, because he was the best route runner and probably the best receiver at Bama, as well as being their best running back. And 20% of their passes went to running backs last season in that Ben Johnson offense because Jared Goff actually honestly doesn't have the strongest arm, as we know. So I get it. And I get why all these guys want to catch balls now, too, but even then, man, like Saquon, that's the other thing. Saquon is the one guy I think the Giants have to give him what he wants because that's like 65% of your offense. I know that
they don't have to. You've got the franchise tag. Here it is. We're going to pay you $10 million. That's all he's going to get. Here's $10 million. Take it or hold out. And if he holds out, he comes back in what is it? Week 7, he comes back. He can hold out the first 6 weeks. So then he comes back in week 7. Now, the question will be, Horvat, if he holds out and they're going into week 7, I don't know when their bye week is, but let's say they play 6 games. What happens if they're 5-1 without him? What happens if they're 4-2 without him when he comes back from his holdout? Then he's screwed. Right? Yeah. But if he comes back and they're 2-4, 1-5, and their season's over because he didn't show up and play, A, the players in that locker room are going to be pissed. B, he's going to feel vindicated, like, I told you I was more valuable than you gave me credit for, because now your record sucks and everybody is all screwed up on this roster. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's go to some gambling since we do have Ryan Horvat from BetMGM tonight as a regular co-host. These over-unders sent to me here from our guy Jimmy Shapiro over at Bet Online. Let's do Jordan Love over-unders first. Are you ready? You're the expert, so I want to see what you think. Total passing yards, over-under 3,350 and a half. 3,350 and a half.
I would go over, man, especially you look at their win total, 7.5. So that's telling you they're probably going to trail in a lot of games or they're going to be in a lot of one-score games. And that's just really the National Football League. Even the good teams are in one-score games, and the bad teams like the Texans are competitive every other week. So I'm going to go over because I think he's going to be dropping back, throwing the football a lot. Also, I love the wide receiver room. I know they're young, but I loved Reed at Michigan State. I like Christian Watson. I think Romeo Doubs is going to be the number one guy, the possession receiver there. We'll see who emerges in the tight end room. Really good offensive line. I know that we all think they're going to, get 20 touches for A.J. Dillon, 20 touches for Aaron Jones, but do you trust Matt LaFleur to do that? I don't. So
that number means
passing yards.
That number means, I just ran it on my calculator. That number means he would have to average right around 198 yards a game. He should be able to average 198 yards a game. Right.
Yeah. Who is he? Eric Kramer? Yeah. I would take the over. I would look for an alternate line. I think Jordan Love could throw for over 4,000 yards.
No, that's Justin Fields. I'd probably go under that number. Jordan Love, total touchdown passes. Screw Justin Fields. I'm so done.
You're a hater. Justin Fields is going to have a monster year.
Yes, hater for sure. Great running back. But until he breaks 200 yards more than twice in his season, I want to hear about it. Jordan Love, total touchdown passes this season, over under 22.5. So that's just over one touchdown pass a game.
So that number seems about right. Like I would take the over because of what I just said.
Yep.
And I do like the weapons, but then like the number seems about right. I don't like that the half right there, the hook right there, because then if he finishes with 22, you lose the bet. You need.
But we also don't know what they're going to do inside the 5-yard line. Is it going to be run, or are they going to let him throw like they let Rodgers throw?
That's the thing, because in a perfect world, A.J. Dillon is finally Derrick Henry or Mike Allstott or whoever the hell we were comparing him to, right? And he uses those big quads for something, and he actually keeps pushing and stays low and hits the hole and, drives himself into the end zone and scores double-digit touchdowns. So I wouldn't bet it, but I would lean over. But, you worry about Christian Watson maybe getting hurt for a couple weeks or Romeo Doubs going down, and then, they become more of a running offense. I would lean over, but I'd stay away from that one. Seems about right. That's a perfect number to set it at.
Jordan Love, total interceptions, over under 13.5.
Yeah, again, that seems about right, man. I would take the over.
Would bet over.
You go over?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't proved that he could read an NFL defense.
But he's like Brett. He's going to take chances, and sometimes it's going to work. And you'll be like, "Holy crap, he made that throw!" And then other times it's going to be like, "Dude, why did you make that throw?" I mean, it's going to be both ends of the spectrum, I think, with him.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some good. There's going to be some bad. But like you look at that last year at Utah State, and it was a lot of hero ball. But also you look at that last year at Utah State, and it was a brand new offensive line. It was a newer system for him. And he had lost the majority of his skill position players from the year before. So it was kind of a mess there at Utah State that final year. But if you watch the year before that, the interception numbers weren't as high. But still, yeah, I agree. I think he's more of a Brett than more of an Aaron. But then again, he's been watching Aaron the last couple of years. Yeah. And other than last year when Aaron just said, screw it. And then he started playing hero ball. Like, you know what I mean? The one thing Rodgers does not do is throw picks. But I want him to throw picks because Rodgers was also afraid to throw the ball across the middle. A lot of that has to do with they never had a real tight end since Jermichael Finley. Like the corpse of Jimmy Graham doesn't count. I guess he had Jared Cook for 1 year. But I want to see Jordan Love throw across the middle and take some chances.
Dude, with the tight ends that they drafted, he's going to throw down the middle. Like, I'm not even worried about that. They're going to throw down the middle with those tight ends. All right, over under for Aaron Rodgers, as we do have the president of the fan club.
Yeah, baby.
Aaron Rodgers, total passing yards, 4,500. Over under 4,500. That's only about 500 yards more than Jordan Love. I would think that's an over, Ryan.
Yeah, there's a reason why Nathaniel Hackett's calling plays because he's not really
calling plays.
He's not.
Didn't you see this? Rodgers is running the offense. Hackett said that Rodgers has total control. Like he can call whatever he wants at the line.
That's what I'm saying. There's a reason why Nathaniel Hackett's the offensive coordinator. It's the same reason he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos last year. He's Rodgers' gopher. So Rodgers will be going over this. And the reason I like this so much is because I love Breece Hall, but there's been probably 3 backs in NFL history, and 2 of them were Adrian Peterson and Jamal Charles that came back post ACL the next year and looked like themselves. So even if Breece Hall's back week 1, I don't think he's really going to be back until midway through the season. So yeah, I think Rodgers is going to cook. I love Garrett Wilson, offensive player of the year, and Garrett Wilson to lead the league in receptions. He's awesome. And you know this more than anybody, Sparky. When Rodgers finds his guy that he's in love with, he loves that guy. What was the issue against Tampa, those final drives? It was all about Devontae. Devontae averaged 12 targets, 13 targets. Garrett Wilson's going to average 14 targets. Randall Cobb and Allen Lazard are not there to catch balls, Sparky.
There's no way he's catching 14 targets a game. There's no chance.
I don't know if he's catching all of them, but he's getting the targets. He's probably going to catch
so.
9 of them.
I bet you he averages somewhere around 10 targets a game. I don't think it's 14. Maybe. I don't think it's Derek Carr over the top crazy to Devontae like he was last year. I don't think we'll get to that point. If he does, I'll be surprised. And I won't criticize him for it because Garrett Wilson's good. Like, I get it. Aaron Rodgers, total touchdown passes. Over under. 28.5. 28.5. Now, 2 a game would be 34.
It's a big number.
Well, you got him over 4,000 yards. So 28.5.
Yeah, but if Breece Hall's back, man, he's a touchdown machine. Yeah, I would go over. I think Rodgers is going to have a huge year. Look at him. He's ripped. He's cut. It kind of pisses me off, though. Like that last year, Green Bay was so goofy. I get he was pissed about losing Devontae, and he was mad at Gutekunst. But, dude, he shows up with the long hair, and he's talking about LSD and mushrooms, which is cool with me. You know, I'm going to Dave Matthews this weekend. But
again, for the 13th time.
30th. 13th. I hit 13 before I got to high school. We're bringing my son this time, though. But yeah, man, like it kind of pisses me off. He wasn't motivated. He looks really good though, and everybody's calling him washed. You know how this story ends.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
he's
they
gonna
want
ball out.
but he wins MVP, or at least he's in the running.
If he doesn't ball out and if he struggles like last year, then he's done. Then it's over. Then it's time to go bye-bye. It's all done then. If he puts up a year this year like he did last year, I think he walks away. I think he's done. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. Over under total interceptions. New team, right? 8.5 for Aaron Rodgers on the interceptions. 8.5, Ryan, on interceptions.
I'd probably I'd go under, because last season he hit double-digit interceptions for the first time in a long time. The first time since his rookie year when he threw 12, I believe. So I think he's going to limit those. I think he's going to go back to the drawing board. Like you saw it the last time he had a crappy year. And, well, I mean, they brought in LaFleur, and then it was still kind of a down year because they drafted Jordan Love. But they went to the NFC title game. But he started squatting again. He said he went back, figured out how to, I forgot what it was, but so I think he'll change some things up. I'd go under on the picks. I think that would be my favorite bet. I think he could close with exactly 8.
Last one. This was put out by BetMGM on Twitter. Which quarterback would you take to have the most regular season rushing yards? Most regular season rushing yards by a quarterback. Geno Smith plus 5,000. Patrick Mahomes plus 4,000. Daniel Jones plus 1,400. Josh Allen plus 1,100. Anthony Richardson plus 450. Jalen Hurts plus 350. Lamar Jackson plus 250. Justin Fields plus 175. I will simply say, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, but if I was, I think Anthony Richardson gets you your most bang for your buck of what's there.
But does he start week 1?
Yes. Jerry Irsay is not going to let him not start week 1. I'll be shocked if that happens.
There's a reason why Justin Fields' price is the way that it is. But the thing is now, man, they bring in DJ Moore. Mooney becomes the number 2. I know they're pissed at Chase Claypool, but he's still a solid 3. Cole Kmet's there, and you fixed up that offensive line. I think Fields is going to want to stay in the pocket. I know everybody thinks he's just this running back, this running quarterback, but go and watch the Ohio State tape. If they could run an offense that looks like that, I think he'll stay in the pocket. And same with Lamar. Lamar's missed the last 2 years pretty much because he's got hurt. Last year, it was hilarious. He was bulking up.
I wouldn't touch him.
Before the season, remember, he was eating popcorn and drinking milkshakes, saying he needed to bulk up. So they got him real receivers now. Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's going to try to stay in the pocket and have a season like he did when he won the MVP. And these are the best receivers he's had ever. So I would actually go with Daniel Jones, because I think that's the best bang for your buck at 14-1. And let's say Saquon isn't back, man. Let's say Saquon doesn't show up week 1. Maybe he holds out for a couple weeks or something like that. I don't love the wide receiver room. I mean, Hyatt's okay, Jalen Hyatt, but is he a slot guy? Is he playing on the outside?
It's not a good room.
With Daniel Jones at that price, 14-1.
It's not a good room. I totally agree with you on that. They did a horrible job giving him weapons this offseason and trying to help him at wide receiver. There's no question. All right, Ryan Horvat, that's another episode of Curd and Long. We'll do it again coming up on Friday. And again, BetMGM tonight. Check him out weeknights on the part of the BetQL Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan Horvat. You can follow me at Sparky Radio. And of course, download this on your Odyssey app or wherever you download your favorite podcast app. We record Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Normally uploaded by 5 p.m. Central Time each and every one of those 3 days. And of course, you can also go to the Odyssey Sports YouTube page where we live stream these bad boys each and every time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Toodles!